Hey everybody, what's up? Circus here, coming at you with this week's power rankings. I just got done doing Battle Phase Sunday. It's like 11:30 at night for me. It's 12:30 in the morning for Rye. Wait, Rye?
Yeah, Iver Kamel.
What
That's
happened to
me.
Kamel? Kamel's internet is a potato, from what I understand, like literally a potato. So he's been down for this weekend, right? So he's gonna
He'll
be out for
be
a little
he'll be
bit,
back for the next week's power ranking when we mess this one up, and then
right?
we have to apologize on that one, and then he'll tell you the real power
Right,
rankings.
the real power ranking. So yeah, last week
Yeah.
there was definitely a debacle where DLM changed their tournaments to no side deck format, and then so we redid the video, and I thought we got it right, and it turns out their website had some wrong information on it. So last week's power rankings, throw them out the window. But this
This
time,
time's this
this
time's for sure.
this time's real. Okay, so if you're wondering what the hell is the power rankings, I'm new to the channel, Circus. What do you guys do here? What we do is we track tournaments all week and we see how decks finish in them, and then we assign them points based on how they finish. Okay, so if a deck gets a first place finish, it gets 6 points. A second place finish is 4 points. A top four is 2 points, and a top eight is a single point. Now the tournaments we track all have to be somewhat the same so that the results can be consistent. So the tournaments have to have rounds of Swiss into a top cut. They have to have a side deck of 7 cards where you can side in a skill. So that's
Hmm.
basically how we do it. So the tournaments that met that criteria this week were the Battle Phase Series, and then the Dark World Legacy. They're in their third or fourth edition. The Giraffe Biweekly, and the G1X Climax. I don't know what that is, but they're in their third or fourth one too. So
It's an insane name too.
yes,
It's like
it
G
is.
G1X Climax on ESPN.
ESPN two.
Yes, ESPN the Ocho.
All right, so in first place this week with 33 points, 21 points ahead of the next deck. Who could it be? Is it
It's
Invoked?
Neos. It's Neos.
It's Invoked Roids. It's Invoked Roids. I just know it. It's not. It's Shiranui, of course. Shiranui just destroying people right now. If you weren't playing Shiranui, you weren't playing this week.
No, I mean I don't think it's a surprise. Shiranui is the king of the format, at least in the side deck. Obviously, without a side deck, decks like the machine decks don't have to worry about system down and stuff like that.
Yep.
But Shiranui always being as flexible as it's always been, that's always been its number one thing. That Shiranui is it's just a flexible deck. There are multiple ways to build it. That's kind of relevant as I believe is Circus. I believe today you just finished casting a trapless Shiranui deck. They ran
Right.
like
Yeah.
Ballista,
You had like
and that
4 traps in it. Yeah.
so the decks being able to be that flexible in a side deck format, especially in a side deck format that's since Zexal's come out has gone up to 7 cards instead of 6 to keep up with the extra deck. Um, it's just like it's just been really good for them. And yeah, they've just been dominating. If you look at the past couple of power rankings, they're usually number one or number two.
Yep. Right at
They
the
don't really
top.
drop out of that position, and I don't really see that changing unless we get the Shiranui of the XCs era, basically.
Right.
Super cheap, super valuable. You play one card, you have a whole board off that one card, and then your graveyard's useful. I don't know.
Yeah. So in second place, Magician Girls. So that they're putting in the work like we expected. We actually have a statistical tie for third place, which we usually don't have. There's usually a tiebreaker that we can decide who's in third or fourth place. But this week it is a statistical tie between Blue Eyes and Chris Strons. And then Ritual Beast, as you can see, also has 11 points, but because of tiebreakers, it falls to fifth place. But I did want to point out, look at Megaliths and Triments also with the same statistical tie in ninth and 10th place down there.
Oh
So,
god,
but look
they
at
just
that.
won a tournament.
But look at that bottom half. You're going to be seeing them again in the power rankings. Megalith, Triments, Weather Painters, Fortunately, your Desperado Magnets. So, again, another really good week for Rogue decks. So,
Hmm.
let's get right into talking about Shirnu. We did a little bit here, but we can look at the numbers. And you can see first place with 33 points. Look at that. 3 tournament victories this week.
God,
Yeah, and look at all those top eights. That's where it scores a lot of its points. But my God, look at that. 3 victories. Look at that. The top eight conversion rate, it doesn't seem high, but 9% for Shiranui is huge. Usually it's at like
hmm
4%. So it's pretty good. And
yeah,
your eyes aren't blurry. That's just the way the guy submitted his deck. That's okay. Your eyes are not blurry. That's the best I could do. But this is Ryu Zane's deck from Battle Phase Monday. So Ryu should have seen this.
Yeah, I did see this deck. This is the quote unquote combo Shiranui that people see
Hmm.
all the time. Again, low trap count. Actually, a bunch of one of traps, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
um, and yeah, it's just one of those things where we're kind of in that meta right now where like I know people like to say, oh, I hate the back row, meta, and the back row is cancer, and we made a whole video discussion about that. But in reality, most of these people that are actually winning the overall tournament aren't running crazy amounts of back row anymore.
No.
There isn't really, it's more like blitzing your opponent down,
Well, I
which is
think with the
what the deck
combo,
does.
Shiranui, it's less popular, but they're getting more victories with it. Or
Hmm.
like there's less people doing it, but the people that have played are really good with it. Kind of like Kristrons, you know? Because like the
Right.
guy I saw play tonight and win, Shiranui #1, um, he put on a clinic with that deck. I have not seen the deck played like that before,
It's
or that well.
definitely it's definitely a lot simpler to play the trap version of the deck.
Hmm.
The way I would kind of describe it right now is the difference between a stealth attack Crystron and a level duplication Crystron player, right? Like one of them is going to be more of like a crutch and just bulldoze through whenever things don't go their way, while the other is going to make some like plays that if you don't know what's in his hand, you're like, what's going on? And then he finally drops his choreo and you're like, whoa, oh my god,
Right, right.
So that's kind of like the difference between the two decks. Um, but I mean that just kind of goes overall to show the strength and how reliable and flexible this deck is, right? Like you see Samurai, you see Spirit Master. These cards are just, you don't see them in the typical Shiranui build,
Hmm.
but they are very powerful. The problem before is you bring these cards out, you get purgatrioed immediately, and then you
Right.
feel bad about yourself. I didn't floodgate the Casitas, I lose. I didn't floodgate the Purgatrio, I lose. So, not having to deal with those has allowed Shiranui to explore other options. Occasionally, you'll still see this deck just get bulldozed because it doesn't have that much protection. Um, but in the event that does not happen, they're usually just chilling. I just realized also this build does not run Kazuki, which is very abnormal.
Right.
But I think the one that won today did run Kazuki, if I'm not mistaken. So I still think that's a really good card for them.
The one we saw today, he in game 3, he set a not I'm sorry, a ballista squad, which got immediately cosmic cyclone, and the rest of the game he did not play a single card that was not Shiranui. He completely dismantled this guy's board. He was playing against Goki. He took down like 2 monsters and 3 back row with nothing but Shiranui cards. So I was very impressed.
Yeah, this is the Shiranui deck that when Shiranui first came out, I wish was like the go-to Shiranui.
Hmm.
Um, it was very depressing having to play because like immediately Shiranui came out, they were okay. Everyone's like, these are fine. And then like a week later, the trap version comes out, and everyone's like, that's not the build, is it? And then that just became like
Right. Just
the
it's
build.
too easy. It's too easy. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really happy to see like this version win.
Yeah. It's a lot
Um,
more fun to watch, to be honest.
yeah. Now, obviously, we're not saying all these are combo Shiras. Some of these are
No.
all pure trap as
Yeah,
well.
most of them are.
Uh,
Yeah, it's still like 75 to 25%.
But I mean, even then, in a single week, two first place tournaments, and both are the combo version. It's pretty good.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Magician Girls. This is a major drop off in the points. Look at that. 12 points. Did not get a single victory this week. But
Yeah,
look.
this deck's garbage. I mean, listen, it's not garbage. I take that back. Invoked Droids is garbage. That deck should.
Right.
No, I don't even understand the hype behind that. That's purely people just following blindly and playing whatever deck other people are playing and seeing
Right.
some level of
It
success
got a
without
win in
even.
the meta weekly. It's great. Or
Yeah,
whatever it
at
was. Yeah.
least this deck actually makes sense, right?
Right.
It's just a lot slower. You play your Berry Girl, you wait for it to get swung into or
Right.
targeted, and then you search whatever you want. Essentially, that's
That's the
their
whole
version.
deck. That's the whole deck. Yeah.
That's their version of play E-Saber Palace and then search your deck,
Right.
right? But
Yeah.
the problem is you have to wait a whole turn, and the moment in Duel Links where you have to wait any amount of time, this happens where it's just half your deck list is traps.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's just one of those decks where it's like the worse your opponent is, the harder you're going to beat them because you have the destiny draw, you have the traps. If your opponent can't sense out what traps you have, they're just going to play into every single one of them. They're going to lose immediately. This is one of those frustrating decks. This is a deck that you want to play in And that's probably why it does so well in tournament settings. Everyone, there's fatigue, everyone gets tired. It doesn't matter if you get tired because your plays don't really change that much. It's like small brain invoke magicians versus big brain invoke magicians. It's the same thing. There's
Right.
very little difference there. So it doesn't matter if you're getting tired, but when your opponent gets tired and starts swinging into your destiny draw and doing small little errors like wrong attack order, you're going to see your win rate start to skyrocket.
Now, I noticed this is Puzzles Battle Phase Money second place. So this deck lost to Sure New
This year.
Combo.
Yeah.
So there's a good example of the
Pretty
exchange
much.
versus the
I
decks,
don't
the comboing deck versus a back row deck.
right. I don't remember the duel exactly, but I can just imagine what happened. And it's just this deck got blitzed by how quickly the combo Shira can go. And yeah, as long as you are able to blitz these decks before the Berry Girl can do anything, before the traps can really do that much, you lose. So
Right.
there you go.
But
I
representation.
just want invokes to go away. They slow everything down, and they're not even that good. Like the amount, I guess it's cool that this deck's doing okay. Like from a financial standpoint, right? It's all in one box. Invoked and Magician Girls are
Mhm.
both in the same box, and then getting like the Fiendish Chain and the Ballista, all that, you probably already have it anyway. If not, just getting Ballista Squad's easy, or I would just go for Fiendish Chain for this deck, and then you have your staples. So it's basically just invoked staples. It's just, I really think people are just trying to make invoked work. And I think Konami just hit it way too hard. And I don't think invoked is good right now. I think you wait until the next big box that comes out that Konami just forgets about their elements. You wait for the next E-Saber. Konami's going to forget, and then they're going to release it. And then bam, you throw invoked in there. And
Then
there you
you're
go.
good,
Invoked back.
yeah. So overall representation's pretty steady on this deck, around 60 people playing it. Top 32 conversion rate of 25% is pretty good. Top 8 conversion rate of 8%. That's pretty good. If you can hit that double digits, then it's gold. And if you can hit 10%, so 8 doesn't seem very good, but when you're playing like a
Yeah.
meta like this, it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so into the statistical tie between Blue Eyes and Crystron's. I just put Blue Eyes first. It doesn't really matter who's first, who's coming up next. But they both had a first place finish, a second place finish, and a top 8. So this is Chris's deck from the Giraffe Biweekly. If you don't know Chris, he's a clapper. He's been on our Twitch show before. He's just a really good player. But this is a first place deck from Giraffe Biweekly. Such a name. I love it. But Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes.
What is going on? He's playing the Ancient Rules? That's interesting. It's the one where you just summon a Blue Eyes from your hand when you play it.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's an old school card, isn't it? Isn't that a free to play card?
That's like what you see all the time in Silver.
Right.
I love it. I wonder how that's been going for him. No, Blue Eyes White Dragon is actually very interesting. The other deck that it was tied with, I guess we can talk a little bit about both of them at the same time here. Them and Crystron's.
Mhm.
Crystron's without a side deck, as we're kind of seeing,
Yeah.
is probably the best deck. Like if you can't counter Crystron's with the side deck, they are just, it feels like they're unstoppable, especially the new wielder type Crystron's. You guys know I love that version of Crystron's. It's so much more exciting to watch than the old Stolly versions. And especially
Right.
when you get to level duplication ones, then you're just like, all right, we're in for a show. And it's hilarious that they're tied because Blue Eyes is a good counter, a natural counter to Crystron's. So you can expect in these kind of one deck, no side formats to see more Blue Eyes come out to try and stop them.
And look, it,
So
it
Spirit
was
Dragon.
it was a Blue Eyes Crystron's final in the GBW in the Draft Biweekly. Look, he won, and Crystron's came in second in that. I didn't even notice that, but there you go.
Yeah.
Crystron's versus Blue Eyes. So
I would not be surprised if we saw more Blue Eyes especially in those types of formats. And then if Crystron's continue to do, because like right now they're not bad in side deck by all means. I think you'd prefer, in my opinion, to be a Crystron player over a Karakuri player for system down. Yes, you have Necro Valley. Yes, you have the counter trap to do that. But on the flip side, things can happen. Those can get cosmic, those can get true nated, whatever. On the flip side, Crystrons, though, they have Crystron impact. So if you do get something
right.
like Cosmic Cyclone, you can just flip up your impact and then bring your monster back, and then it's gone or whatever.
Crystron's
And
just
then
have
you
a
can
lot better
still.
recovery, I think.
I feel so, yeah. So, but then you have Blue Eyes White Dragon, especially with the Spirit Dragon being able to negate a graveyard effect once per turn, is like devastating to
Right.
Crystron players. Um, and then when you have things like Karma Cut, Raigeki Break, especially if you go first, you can stop Crystrons early as well. Blue Eyes will always eternally have, at least until they release like some of the crazy draw support that the deck can have, self-breaking issues. You know, they don't have like a Magician's Navigation, Illusion, all that to kind of cycle their normal vanilla monsters. It's just kind of there.
Hmm.
And so that's very unfortunate. But this looks like a clean list, to be honest.
Look at that representation, though. 10 people played the deck. 4 of them made it to the top 32. So that's a whopping 40%. One of them
Yeah,
moves on. So a top 8 conversion of 10%. That doesn't get
yeah.
any better. Now, what? Well, let's go to Chris Johns and check that out. Almost the same numbers, but look at that top 8 conversion rate of 3%.
Yeah, Crystron's also are just harder to play. So that's just always going to be true. Any slow deck that requires thought is always going to have like lower numbers, I feel.
Right. So yeah, overall, there you go. There's Crystron's. Again, I think Crystron's are doing pretty good in the format. They seem to wash out though, um, in the top 8 because I think that's when the games get for real. And I think some of the
Mhm.
players are still learning the deck. Like they're doing all right in Swiss, right? And they get the top 32 and they get out of the top 16, and then the top 8 they just kind of get bumped off at that point.
Yeah. And it's a
Um,
system down too, right? Like in Swiss, especially if it's a newer tournament player, they're probably not playing system down or not at 3.
mhm.
But once you get to that top 8, top 16, top 8, everybody has system down. That's how they got
Right.
there.
We
So,
didn't really see that
yeah.
tonight, but we did see Crystron's. I want to say lose to like Goki or something like that. No, they lost to Noble Knights.
Oh, hell. Let's
They lost to Noble
go.
Knights. I swear to, because the guy just didn't know what to do. He didn't know
Yeah.
how to play against Noble Knights. You know, he was just like,
That's
"Ah, I don't
usually how
know."
they win.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, I guess, to 5th place, jumping down to Ritual Beasts. 11 points. They did pretty well. They had some, you know, a second place, 3 top 4s, a top 8. 5% conversion rate to the top 8. What I noticed, DD Crow, that's just got a home in the deck now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's really strong. I'm actually kind of disappointed with Ritual Beast, if I'm being totally honest. They do still have to kind of deal with the same issues that Crystron do with heavy side decking, like Poisonous Wind,
Mm-hmm.
Mind of the Plana, Lancia, stuff like that. But even after all that, and even like in the single format style, yes, their ranking has gone up naturally, as you would imagine, but not as much as you think. You know, like the first opening week of Zexal after the ban list, Ritual Beasts were like dominating everybody, and I was like, oh wow, it looks like this is actually going to be
Mm-hmm.
one of the best decks in the format. But then it just ended up not
Right.
being that way. So, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's time to change up the build a little bit. Maybe the DD Crow in the main isn't the answer. I've seen it do some really clutch stuff, but maybe it's time to maybe explore other options because the deck still feels really strong. But
I think everybody's
then,
playing it slow is the problem. You got to play it faster because they're used to the shadow
yeah,
game,
maybe.
stalling it out, letting your opponent burn. You're just not
Hmm.
seeing like the quick plays like we had seen like a month ago, like you were saying around Zexal time. I swear I was like, oh my God, Ritual Beast players are just blitzing people. You're just not seeing that, you know?
Maybe, yeah, and maybe that's what it is. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to like take a deeper look into it and
Like I
really
wasn't seeing the 3
formulate.
Pedalfin bounce tonight. You know, we watched some Ritual
Yeah,
Beast. I
three
just wasn't.
battle fan with the see you later. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wasn't. And that's how you play it quick. I think when
Mhm.
you're stalling out and you're not getting that burn every turn,
Yeah,
I think it's a big difference.
maybe that's what it is. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe they need to bring back ambush. Maybe they need to bring. I don't know what they need to do. But I'm not like, yeah, the DD Crow, like you said, been seeing play in the main deck. But at this point, it's like, why not just take Lancia? I don't know. I don't know. And then it's like, yeah, Chaos Hunter comes out, it just destroys the deck. I just like to see it go back to the drawing board. It reminds me of Weather Painters. They weren't really winning a lot, and then they just made a whole deck change essentially. And they started winning a little bit before people started adjusting to the new build. So maybe that's
Right,
all it is. Maybe it's just a figured out deck, and people know how to play against it now. So it's just time to
right.
change up the cards a little bit.
Well, it was weird. We did watch some Ritual Beast tonight, and you know we look at decks on stream at the end and stuff. We only saw like one person playing Poisonous Winds, so they shouldn't
Yeah,
have
it's
had
like
that hard of a time tonight.
yeah. I think too. Also, it's kind of like the return of Invoke. is kind of annoying everybody, but it's actually kind of destroying Ritual Beast a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because it really is, if one Purgatrio hits the board, like
Yeah, it's
versus this
over.
build of Purgatrio, there's no floodgates. There's nothing to really deal with it. Your only answer is the Sphere Karibo and then the DD Crow to try and stop the Purgatrio from the first place.
Right.
So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just the return of the Invokes has had a bigger impact than the Poisonous Winds. It's just people haven't really caught on to that yet. Because all it takes is just one player playing Invoke Berry Girls or Invoke Droids, and you're out of the tournament.
Right. Because that Purgatrio comes out and that card is literally salivating when it comes out on the
Mhm.
board against Ritual Beast. It's like,
It just it's
break
like
it down. I
what are you
dare
gonna
you to
do?
break
Yeah.
it down.
But I'll big brain play. I'm not gonna fuse out, and I lost.
Yeah. So yeah,
So
Purgatrio hits the board. It's over.
yeah,
So we'll see how they do this next coming week. So we'll do at a glance here. Overall representation, obviously going to Shiranui, but look at Karakuri, not even really scoring points this week. We'll have to
yeah.
check back on the main screen here. Yeah, 8 points for Karakuri with that second highest representation. So Karakuri just not doing well overall. But look at
No.
down at the bottom, Invoked Roids. 9 people played it this week. Dragoonity had more. Witchcrafters had more. Cyber Dragons had more. Oh, Invoked Roids, where art thou?
There are times where I'm wrong about the meta, and I'll accept it. But listen, the moment I saw Invoked Roids become popular, I was like, no, it's not a good deck. You know why it's not a good deck? Because when I used to play competitive, it was in the meta, and I would trash people playing it because it would literally just be people misplay against it. And then I'd face up against stuff like, okay, well, I'm not going to misplay because I know exactly what you do because you're just annoying as hell. So,
Right.
and then no, they're out of the tournament. Wow, imagine that.
But yeah,
Crazy.
decks that are doing well for the representation, though, I would have to say was, Crystron's. That's it, really. I mean, only 31 times, but they still made the top 5. So there you go.
Yeah.
Well, Ritual Beast, too, how'd they do? Well, they had 38, so they're kind of up there. All right.
Yeah, that's right. It's like Ritual Beasts just feel kind of meh. It feels like it should be better, but it's not.
Yeah. All right. Top 8 conversion rates this week. Dark Magician with
Ooh.
14%. Now, like we said, you have to have at least 20 in the representation column to be on this list because it is you get into those rogue decks. They have 4 people play it. 3 of them make the top 8 over the week, and you have a 75% conversion rate, and it just kind of throws the
Oh
whole
my
thing.
god.
Yeah, it's an amazing deck. So, but like I said, Shiranui, Magician Girls, Karakuri, these are all actually good numbers. 7, 8, 9%. Black Wings, Crystron's Thunder Dragons. That's where we usually see the meta decks down there at the bottom because so many people play them, but not everybody can get through.
It is insane that Shiranui is pretty much the most played deck and has a 9% conversion rate to the top 8. That is insane.
That's really good. That's
Because the thing is, people got to remember, especially in these free to enter tournaments, people are just going to, first time players ever of tournaments will be like, all right, I'm going to lock in Shiranui because that's the most popular deck.
yeah.
So the skill level between your average Shiranui player versus like your average literally anything else is going to be significantly lower because that's just where people start off at. So the fact that that's 9% at second place to top 8 is absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, and the numbers are obviously down this week because we don't have the DLM events in here, but sometimes we'd have Shiranui representation over 200. So
Yeah.
yeah, it gets a lot of people playing the
Jeez.
deck. All right, top 8 finishes then. Shiranui with 9, Magician Girls 5, Karakuri 5. You can see there's obviously everybody at 1. I didn't feel like breaking it down and figuring out who had the statistical win between all the people with a single top 8, but put them in any order that you want. I'm just glad to see Stromberg up there. Good job,
Hey,
guys.
welcome back, Stromberg.
Weather Painters, Magnus, Trimans. Again, another good week when you see rogue decks. You'll see these guys were getting wins, and they're getting into the top 8. So people that say the meta stale, yes, it's been around for a while, but you don't have to play the same 4 decks to win.
Yeah, you can play.
A
You
lot
can
of
play
these
an
decks
alt-meta
have
deck.
wins. They have wins.
Please do it. Give the casters something new to see.
Yeah, and I'll show you right here. Most victories. Shiranui, Dark Magician, Megalith, Blue Eyes, Cristrons, and Triamids. So there you go.
Good old Trimids. I'm glad they won again.
Yeah.
They haven't won for a couple weeks now.
All right, we'll take a look here at the main list again so you can satisfy your power ranking needs. Where do you think we're going to be next week, Rye? Shiranui number 1
Yeah, I mean the new box
is nothing. We went through it tonight on stream. It's nothing. It's nothing.
Even if a deck's comes in surprising people. I think we're just going to see more of the same.
Yeah.
There's going to be more decks in the side. A deck I'm actually keeping an eye on is Cyber Dragon right now. They've been doing some moves with deck building in the different communities for Cyber Dragon, and they it's actually kind of a favorable meta, I feel like, for Cyber Dragon. It's just really the skill holding them back. So we'll see if they climb up. Kara Curry, one of those decks where it's like, all right, are you guys just not going to do well in side deck format?
I don't think they
Yeah.
can. There's just too many.
Continue, yeah. It's
They
just
run
too
into
restrictive.
Cristrons and just get clapped.
Yeah, so that's another deck I'm
Yeah.
kind of keeping an eye on. That's
Sure,
pretty much it.
number one.
Blue Eyes is actually pretty good to keep an eye on too. Like I said, if people do go hardcore into Cristrons, which are extremely good in no side and then just kind of like pretty good inside, I could see Blue Eyes coming back kind of with a vengeance. That'd be kind of cool if that happened.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what happens. So if you like this video, make sure to check it out next week, of course. But get in our Discord because that's where we host all these wonderful tournaments, at least the Battle Phase ones. And they're always free to play. The Discord is free. And we got a great new player help channel in there. And we got people standing by, ready to give you help and get going in this wonderful game that we call Duel Links. So we're going to get out of here. I'm Circus, and that's Rye.
See you later, YouTube. Don't play Invoked.